Welcome everybody to our BNI Talks webinar. Today I've got Mike Savage. You know him, he's been around for a few times. He's spoken all over the place. He's kind of a BNI, I don't know, what should we call you? Not a fixture, but a regular.
Yeah, regular, I like it.
That we like to welcome back to this webinar. And today we're talking about 5 cash flow mistakes entrepreneurs must avoid at all costs. So I am somewhat of a BNI institution. I like that too.
Yeah, well, I pay Jamie money to be nice to me. So,
all right. So as I said earlier, if you've got a question, put it in the Q&A. If you have a comment or story, put it in the chat. And make sure you're ready to take some notes. Mike's got a lot to present today, so get ready. Take it away, Mike.
Amen. Buckle up, buckle up. I'm super excited. Thank you, Steve. We're going to talk numbers today. Even if you're not a numbers person, that's okay.
That's me.
We're going to make it fun. 5 cash flow mistakes entrepreneurs must avoid at all costs. Savage scoreboard. We want to keep score. And first, again, whenever I do a webinar and people show up when I'm doing it for Steve or others, congratulations. You don't have to be here. No one forces you to be here. You take the initiative to go and learn and better yourself. So congratulations for that. And I want to make sure that I can tailor the presentation to the majority of the group. So help me understand it. And I put that little icon there to remind me, to remind you. That's a little chat box. So if you can share in the chat, just what is your number one challenge right now that you're dealing with in your business? You know, I need to make more money. My time is maxed out. I'm kind of living in the lonely zone. I don't really have a sounding board to help my business. I'm trying to grow sales. I'm trying to grow my team. So we've got, well, this is going too fast for me, but it's great. Kelly's trying to reach the right prospects. Gary's introduced a new direct mail product, free some more time. Autumn, grow the team. All right, more money, more money. Show me the money. Follow up, make more money. And we got Amy with an A, B, and D. All right, awesome. That means she's really kicking butt. All right, so a quick background on me. I've been doing this build company thing for a long time. I've been doing it for 30 years. So I built 6 different companies, a few multi-million-dollar businesses. I have the scars to prove it in the well, I don't really have too much gray hair, but it's been a journey. My largest business grew to 25 million at 50 employees, sold about $250 million in product to retailers. And I'm a mindset junkie. I think that there's more to business than just the skill set of business. One of my early mentors I learned from his name was Zig Ziglar. If you are in the audience and you have heard of Zig Ziglar, just give a shout out to Zig Ziglar, one of my favorite speakers of all time. He taught me some stuff that I never really, John's got a zig, James is a zig. Look at all the zigs. He introduced me to stuff that I didn't get from my parents. And you know, we all are who we are based on all the things that have gone into our brain. So been doing that for a long time. I've, you know, sat on boards of directors, had bankers, been banks, investors, partners. So bottom line is I've done a lot of dumb stuff. And I think now my spot on the planet is to help others avoid the dumb stuff and the pain that I've done. So now another chat box icon. I need some help. Who's heard this one? Cash is what? What is the cash is what? I bet you're all going to get this one wrong, even though you're banging away. Cash is king, 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 Vivian, king. Cash is king. Well, I'm going to change something. Cash is not just king. Cash is the whole damn kingdom. Cash is the king. Cash is the queen. Cash is the castle, the moat, all the players in the castle area. So yeah, cash is everything. And the reality is when we go through this journey of building a company, most of the time we don't start, hey, I think I want to really understand cash. We start based on a passion. We start based on something that we love. And then we find out how critical the cash is. So I'll tell you that you're in the right place today. If you're in that 6-figure range building companies and you want to get to that $1 million level, you're hungry to learn. Like I said, congratulations for just being here. Hungry to learn. We are never, you don't settle as we go through the journey. It's like, yeah, I want to learn. I want to learn more. I call the lonely zone the businesses anywhere from, say, you know, startup up to say $5 million, where You don't really have a seasoned board of advisors, board of directors, not necessarily a strong management team. So you're kind of like, what do I do? The other one is, like Steve was saying, we didn't have a ton of registrants for this one, like some of the normal webinars, because numbers are scary. Numbers scare people sometimes, and maybe that's not your passion. I promise you that this is going to be this is not going to be painful. We're going to have some fun with it, but yet we do have to keep score. And if you want more money, you want to take that next step in your business, this is the right place. Now, this information right here, think about businesses that started in 2017. Now, we have to take the COVID factor because it does play a role, but businesses that started in 2017, there are almost half of them are gone by 5 years later. And this is the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. This is a scary thought. I heard this quote a long time ago that said, entrepreneurship is the one sport where the longer you play, the greater your chance of death. It's kind of like a video game. When you're playing a video game and you're out there and you're banging away and doing whatever they do in video games. Not a big video game guy, but yeah, it's tough. And of all the reasons, 82% by the Small Business Administration fail because of cash flow. And so I want to help you avoid that. And also, I've got a nice, beautiful gift. You're going to love this one. Stay till the end. This is a spreadsheet. It actually says 18 months. This is a 24-month cash flow spreadsheet. It's plug and play. You can download it in Excel. You can use it in Google Sheets or whatever platform you want. But it is an absolute kick butt document that you could use for your company. So this is a mistake / agenda, the agenda for today. I'm going to hit on 5 things that I think these mistakes. Now, there are a lot of cash flow mistakes that we can make, a lot of financial mistakes, a lot of mistakes we can make in business. But these are just 5 of cash flow mistakes that I really want to emphasize, bring to your attention, make sure that you're looking at this, make sure that it's on the radar screen. I'm not saying you have to be an accountant or a chief financial officer or a fractional CFO or a bookkeeper, but you got to understand this if you are running a company. So mistake 1, not knowing the numbers, not keeping score, no cash projections, not paying enough attention to payables and receivables. There's some horror stories as it relates to payables and receivables. No reserve for taxes. I am going to tell you 3 stories that will absolutely scare you. Actually, this might scare you because of some clients that I've been working with that didn't understand this and how it cost them. And the 5th one is no rainy day fund. I don't care how many business plans you write. I've even delivered BNI webinars on how to write a business plan. What really matters is that you anticipate the things that aren't planned, because a business plan is good and a cash flow projection is good until the ink dries. Actually, that's probably an old-fashioned statement. We don't even use ink anymore. But it's only good for a moment in time. So we need to be able to anticipate the things that happen that may not be according to plan. And then ultimately, I'll give you some steps where you can really get rocking and rolling right away. Entrepreneurship. I always have called this an emotional and financial roller coaster. If you have been in business for more than a week, you know what I'm talking about. You have the highest of highs when business is great, and then the lowest stinks. You could be really rocking and rolling, and then one of your top 2 or 3 employees leave. It can become an emotional and financial roller coaster. So congratulations if that is you. Congratulations if you are on the roller coaster. It's kind of fun sometimes when you get on that roller coaster. We've all ridden roller coasters, and you go up and you start seeing you go click, 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 and they roll you around and they take you all the way up to the top of the thing. And it's so exciting. And then they toss your ass off the top and you spin around and you go all over the place, and you may get thrown up on from the people in front of you, but it can be an emotional financial roller coaster. And the reason it is because I always say we're men and women long before we're businessmen and women. So as a man or a woman, we have all of this stuff in our lives. We have kids, we have family, we have spouses, we have girlfriends and boyfriends, we have, the home, we have home and cars and school and all sorts of stuff from a personal perspective. And then we also have the next level of challenge, all of this interesting stuff that goes on in the business life, from employees and cash flow and marketing and sales and all those fundamentals. And then ultimately, this is where we end up, right? And so this is another chat box. If this is you, if you've ever felt this, give me a hell yeah in the chat box, because this is the journey of entrepreneurship. We get pounded sometimes. We get busted up against the walls. We got Gary saying yes, and Joanna is saying yes, and they got a hell yeah from a whole bunch of people. So it just goes to show that this does resonate. So pretty cool. One of the things, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but my philosophy on business and entrepreneurship, I call the Entrepreneur's Trilogy. I say that you and I star in 3 movies simultaneously. I call them Heart Set, Mindset, Skill Set. Heart Set, to me, the single most important one. Our health, our home, and our happiness. Our health, the one thing that we take for granted until it's taken away. And either you've been through it or you know someone that's gotten that call and says, so enjoy it. Our health, our home, our friends, our family, our loved ones, and our happiness. And if you got this, you've won the game. The challenge is we want to get to that next level. So movie 2 is mindset. There's no denying this. We are who we are where we are because of all the things that have gone into our mind since birth and all the decisions we made based on the stuff that's gone into our mind. So our mind is so precious. The 6 inches between our ears is like the end all cure all. Our mind, our motivation, what drives us, what are our goals, what are our dreams, what's our purpose for being, and our movement. We can't just dream about it, sit on the couch and say, oh, I hope money shows up. I promise you, there's not a lot of customers that are going to show up at your front door, your office door, just because you think about them. You must get off your butt and go attack. And then finally, skill set. We run companies, right? There's so much that goes into running a business. That's why the failure rate is so high. But I call this the heartbeat of business. This is your product or service, your ideal client, and your strategic marketing plan. We got to get that right before we go into all the other things. But today I'm going to make the assumption that you're already there, you've been there, and we're going to spend some time. This is how complex business can be, but we're going to spend some time right here on cash flow. So this is the cash flow journey that we're going to go on. It's a component of the skill set. I jumped past this one, but when you look at entrepreneurship, this is the graphical representation of the Entrepreneur's Trilogy. It's always changing. Things in our personal life are changing, things in our mind are changing, and things in our business are changing. Always, always changing. So we're going to focus on cash today. Also, I just wanted to share, if you are an entrepreneur and you're out there and you already know that you need a conversation with someone, I've opened up my calendar for the next few weeks for a Crush It call. No charge, no selling, no BS. Just if you want some insight into your specific business, you can go to thesavagesecrets.com/call Mike. I will actually pop this into the chat box. And my calendar's open. Grab a quick call. There's nothing other than me trying to help you and answer some questions. So I wanted to make that available. Mistake number 1, don't know the numbers. In the chat box, if you like sports of any sort, could you please put into the chat box your favorite sport? What sport do you enjoy either watching, participating in? We've got Tia's got rugby and Kelly's got football. Dave's got baseball. That's probably my passion because I am from Boston. If you cannot tell from my accent, and my favorite team is the Boston Red Sox, and I do park my car at Fenway Park in Boston. So my point with this, putting all of this in there, is if you went and watched your favorite team play a sport and there was no scoreboard, how unfun would that be? It's like, well, except I guess for soccer. I'm not bashing on soccer because oftentimes soccer game can end at 0-0. But my point is we need to keep score. We need to keep score when we watch our favorite teams play, and we need to keep score in business. And there are 3 components to the scorecard. It's called income statement, balance sheet, and statement of cash flows. Now, I am not going to go deep into each one of these things. I'm going to share this on a surface level, but our income statement, our profit and loss represents a period of time. Now, think about back in school. When you went to school and you did the first semester or the second semester, whatever it was, you did stuff for a period of time, and then you got a report card. It looks at the history of that period. That's the same thing as an income statement, a profit and loss statement. It is a period of time, and it talks about an historical time. So, for example, this is just a quick snapshot of an income statement Fred's construction company. He's got revenue, he's got expenses, he's got profit. You can compare this to prior month, to prior quarters, prior years, but it is the way of keeping score. It's an essential first step. The second step is called a balance sheet. Like I said, I'm not going to go into a ton of this, but it's basically comparing what you own versus what you owe. What is the value of your organization? And a balance sheet represents a moment in time. An income statement represents a period of time. A balance sheet represents a moment in time. And it's really just looking at your assets, what you own versus what you owe. And we always want to own more than we owe in personal lives as well as in business lives. So that's statement number 2. Income statement, period of time, balance sheet, moment in time, cash flow, all the time. This is the magic. This is where the magic happens. And this is where we're going to spend our time today. But the 3 critical elements of a financial plan for any great company is an income statement, a balance sheet, and a statement of cash flows. And this is where we're going to spend our time today. Now, when I showed Steve my slides, he goes, holy crap, Mike, you're really getting into the numbers. I am going to geek out here. And I'm going to tell you that I'm going to geek out, and I'm going to prepare you that I'm going to geek out, but it's not going to be painful. What I wanted to do was, in everything that I'm going to show you right now is done on the spreadsheet that you can download. There are 2 real key colors in the world of finance. There's red, which is not good, and there's black, which is good. So as I go through the next few slides, remember, red is bad and black is good. So take a look at this. If you're on a phone, this is going to be difficult, but if you can look at it full screen, basically all this is showing is a simple spreadsheet. And it's basically on the top, there is starting cash. Then throughout the month, cash comes into our business. Then we have total cash in, which is summing up all of the different areas where our cash comes in. Then our total cash available is our starting cash plus whatever cash comes in. So this is the top line, okay? Cash coming in. And then what do we do when we run our companies? We spend on stuff. We spend on materials, spend on employees, we spend on marketing and sales, and great writers like Steve Tenuta. We spend money on the people in the services we need to be great at our business. That means cash goes out. So you got cash in, cash out. Now, at the end of the month, you can look, this is my total cash out. This is the net cash for my month. And this is the ending cash for the month. So I'm not making this super complicated, but there is a reality that there's a few numbers we want to look at when it comes to cash. And there's one certainty. When we finish 1 month, whatever there is in cash at the balance of our checking account, savings account, investment accounts, that's the starting cash of the next month. So when we finish January, ending cash in January is starting cash in February. Now, during the month of January, stuff happens. And that stuff could be, in your case, you may be growing sales, you may be adding employees, you may be investing in digital marketing. You could be doing a whole bunch of things, but stuff happens. So in this particular case, we get an order, we have to invest in some tooling and prepay some inventory. So what I was saying before was our ending cash in January is our starting cash in February. Now, when you go and look at all the stuff that happened in February, we had to buy tooling, we had to buy some inventory, maybe hired some employees. What it shows is that at the end of February, we would be negative 43,000. Now, as much as it scares me to say, that doesn't help. You can't be negative numbers. So what does that mean? You need to anticipate that I need some extra cash. So you need to have some cash available from somewhere. And I'm going to go through the various areas where you can get cash. But let's just, for the assumption, we take our line of credit. We have a line of credit at the bank for our business, and we draw it down because we can't finish the month of February in the red. We need to finish with positive cash. So now we finish this month with $57,000. February, stuff happens again. So our ending cash in February is again our starting cash in March, but stuff happens again in March. And based on all the stuff that happens, sales didn't come in as much as we anticipated. Our cost of goods went up. We added employees that we weren't really sure we were going to add. So it shows us in a negative position again. Now we know we can't be in negative position. So we need to find some more money. In this case, it's coming from personal funds. And as the months go on, ending cash in March, starting cash in April, things happen throughout the month. So we need to take the next month, we need some money from family and friends. The next month, we need to get an increase on our line of credit. And ultimately, what happens after 6 months is we do get paid. We got that big order in January, but we needed to make sure that we had the cash to get to June so that we could collect on those funds. And so we end up in June, like, oh, this is great. I've got $1 million in cash. Smiles everywhere. Everybody's delighted. And what can you now do with that? You can do a lot of stuff. The most important thing to recognize, though, is you could not get to June unless you had the cash available. Now, in all of the demonstrations I'm showing, you can add a zero, you can take away a zero. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is there is a theory behind all of this. And you had to have $600,000 available just to get to June. Now, what you can do now that you got paid from this big customer, you can go and pay down that debt. You can go pay down those loans. You can go pay down your friends and family. But the beauty of it is that if you understand and anticipate how important it is to know your cash position, this is why the spreadsheet that I'm going to give you is a 2-year cash forecast. If you don't like spreadsheets, ask someone to help you, because it's really the best way for us to keep score. We're keeping score on a spreadsheet that allows us to anticipate inflows and outflows of cash. So hopefully that made sense. There's really no simple way of doing it. One of those things that once we get good at it, we practice at it, everything that we start when we're uncomfortable with it, it's difficult at first. But when you become more comfortable with it, you realize the power, the extreme power of anticipating. That's why I talk about business plans. Business plans are essential, but they're only good for a day. You know, cash flow statements are great. You want to anticipate, this is where my sales will come in. These will be all my expenses. But things happen. You know, if you've been running a business for longer than a week, you know that you may have anticipated $50, $100, $200, $300,000 in sales, and it doesn't materialize. You need to have a backup plan. And so that's the importance of cash flow. Number 3, receivables and payables. I'm going to tell a story. I have a client who, when we started working together, he was killing it. Come to me, Mike, I'm killing it right now. I got a $6 million business. I got $1.5 million in earnings and EBITDA. And like, you know, Mike, I'm really killing it. I'm like, this is great, man. I'm so excited for you. I said, just humor me a little bit. How's cash? I said, how's your cash situation? Oh, Mike, I'm sure it's fine. Now, this is a $6 million business. I'm sure it's fine. Well, we did a little bit of homework. When we started working together, he had $22,000 in cash. Now that's it. Now for a $6 million company, that's not a lot of money.
That's like almost out of money.
Yeah. So he's at the limit. So he's right there, $22,000 in cash. Okay, interesting. He was not paying attention to his accounts receivable, accounts payable, because when this is one of the challenge of success. And I'll give you a quote. If you want to write this one down, I'll put it in the chat box later. Success is a ruthless competitor. It will comfort you, flatter you, and lull you into complacency. This is exactly what happened to my client. He got complacent. He was looking at, that's why there's 3 financial statements: income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flows. He was looking at the income statement only. He was not paying attention to his accounts receivable or accounts payable. He had no cash flow forecast. Anyone that came to his business was getting terms. Now he's got a $6 million business. He was also selling lower price stuff, $50. $50, hey, no problem, man. I'll tell you what, $50, I'll send you an invoice. What? No. And he didn't, on top of all of it, he did not have any access to additional cash, to additional credit, to any of the other things that you need. So he was one unpaid bill away from losing his company. So it does not matter how big your company is. If you do not pay excruciating attention to this, it can swallow you. He took action. We took action. The things that we did to remedy this situation. Number 1, He made accounts receivable. Now, this is a multi-million-dollar company. Come to find out, he had $400,000 in receivables that were over 120 days. So if you know how this works, that's really bad, because the longer a receivable goes unpaid, the less the opportunity that that's ever going to get paid. He was not paying attention to that. He took action and he hired an accounts receivable person immediately. Number two, he went back and asked his vendors. He said, hey, I know I pay you in 30 days. Is there any way for the next 2 to 3 months I can pay you in 60 days? Now, if they want a good relationships, and we all want good relationships, that's what BNI is founded on. It's founded on relationships. They will bend over for you. They will do things for you. They will help you. So he went and asked his vendors. He also discontinued the whole theory of giving very small businesses terms. So they went on a prepay via credit card or wire. So that started to improve cash flow. Then he also took my advice and created this 2-year cash flow spreadsheet where he could start anticipating future inflows and future outflows so that he doesn't get to that situation where he's at the end of the month, like, oh no, that bill didn't get paid. So now what do? I can't go in the red. I need money. And thus he created, he's in the process of creating cash reserves. How else, if things don't work exactly according to plan, how else can I make sure that I have the cash and the fundamentals to get this paid? In February of 22, the Grim Reaper was knocking at his door. He had $22,000. He even said to me, I said, what are you going to do if that bill doesn't get paid? Well, I guess my employees can take a couple of weeks where they're not getting paid. Like, dude, you are at the door. I'm happy to report that 1 year later, he had $1.1 million in cash. And the reason he did was because he learned those 5 fundamentals. It's not hard, but if you're not paying attention to this, and I've seen it in my own companies, I've seen it in other companies, if you are not paying attention to cash, you have the opportunity to think and feel and believe that you are doing great, and you may not be. So this is just one experience where payables and receivables become so paramount. We got to learn the rules of the game there. This is another one, and I hate the fact that my stories are all sort of painful ones, but this is another super challenging situation where, as our businesses grow, we need to anticipate the fact that there are people out there called Uncle Sam or State Sam or whatever it may be, that you need to pay your taxes. We have not figured out a way to get out of it yet. I have 3 clients that had really nasty wake-up calls after 2022. This was the information that they received from their accountant. This is the amount of back taxes that are owed: $75,000, $132,000, $480,000. Now, how would you feel if you went into your accountant and he was to surprise you with numbers like this? You would probably panic a little bit. You may go, no, that's not true. Yes, it is true. The government will figure out how to get their money every single time. Now, this is the challenging part. Here is the remedy to this. Number one, there are 2 primary areas, and we can go into a whole bunch of additional detail, but I don't need to do that. I think the focus should be 2 primary areas, and that is when we generate sales, in most states, there is a sales tax, okay? And when we generate income, net income for our business, there is usually a state and a federal income tax. Now, there are some states, Massachusetts does not happen to be one of them. Florida does, where they do not have a state income tax. And that's why lots of people flock to Florida so that their income cannot be taxed. Now, Uncle Sam wants his piece. You cannot ignore the reality that Uncle Sam will figure out a way in some way, shape, or form to get his back taxes. If you have back taxes that are unpaid and you go to apply for a loan, it'll trigger an event. It is very difficult, that's a stupid statement. It is impossible to get past the fact that Uncle Sam wants his money. Like I said earlier, there are sales taxes in each state. And each state will make sure that if you're selling something into that state, they are going to get their piece of it. There are state taxes. This just happens to be a table of all of the state tax rates in the country. And then there are federal taxes, which is all based on your annual income. Those three things, those three areas, sales tax, state income tax, and federal income tax, those are three areas we cannot ignore. And so it's the same concept as we were talking about in the cash flow statement earlier. There needs to be a line item. And when you download this spreadsheet, there is a line item on there. And by the way, the spreadsheet's editable. You can put all your own stuff in there. But there is a line item that says reserve for taxes. And this is the one thing that all three of my clients had to learn the hard way. But you have to reserve. If you were profitable last year, you need to reserve to pay because the government's going to assume that you will be profitable next year. And so you have to start reserving for that profit. All of a sudden, throughout the course of the year, if you end up thinking that you're going to be making more profit, guess what? You need to start reserving more. So this is just one of those key areas throughout the growth of a business that we can't ignore, that cash the government wants their piece of this, and in being able to have the ability to reserve for taxes becomes absolutely positively essential. Now, the final of the 5 mistakes is really not having a rainy day fund. As I said earlier, things don't just automatically work according to plan. You put together your cash flow plan, and you put together your financial objectives, and you put the sales goals, and you do all this stuff. Guess what? Sometimes it doesn't work out according to plan. Now, even when it works out, meaning you have a sales goal, if you're too high on that sales goal, guess what? That can create a problem. If you're too low on the sales goal, that can create a problem. Because all of a sudden, if you have sales and you have terms and you say, oh, geez, I got this $1 million order, sometimes you have to pay for that order in advance, like the example that I gave at the very beginning. So we need to have access. We need to at least understand that there will be times in our business where we need to have access to capital. This is the cash in portion of the spreadsheet. You can put in here whatever you want, but I'm going to share with you a few ideas. Now, here's another. I know I spent way too much time without another Q&A or chat box ask. What is the best time to apply for a loan or a line when you're trying to get money to grow your business? When is the best time? John says now. I like it. I think Ramon well, everybody's nailing it now. The best time, Barry and Rudy, everyone, Doug is getting it. Everyone's getting it. The best time to apply is when you don't need money. So if your business is doing well right now, my recommendation is and especially if you have a couple of years of operating revenue and operating income and growth of your business, even go to get a small loan from your bank or go and get a new credit card. That nobody wants to loan money to people when they need money. That is called high risk capital, and high risk capital comes with a very high risk interest rate. It could cost you a lot of money. So the best time to apply is when you don't need money. Now, there's two kinds of ways that we can access capital. There's traditional financing. That means you go to a bank or a credit union and you say, hey, here is the information from my business. I would like a loan. I would like a line of credit. I would like some form of access to capital. And you can get a secured loan, this is really what the banks want to do. Like banks are not in the business of taking risk. That's like the exact opposite. That's oil and water. Banks and risk, they don't go together. So banks do not want to loan you money if there's risk. We just saw some stuff that happened with some national institutions. They took too much risk. They did not anticipate something happening, and those banks got in trouble. Actually, they disappeared. I'm not going to say got in trouble. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They disappeared. The banks do not want to take risk. So there are secured loans, which you can secure with the assets of your business. You can secure with your home. You can secure with other means. And then there's unsecured loans. Unsecured loans are more challenging to get. And I'll tell you another story. So one of my businesses, we had a line of credit with this my company had $7 million line of credit. And a banker came in and he said, "Hey, Mike, I want you to switch banks. I want you to come to my bank." I'm like, "Why the hell would I go to your bank?" Well, my line of credit was secured by my house, by my assets, everything. The line of credit I had with my existing bank, it was all secured. And the banker said, he goes, "Mike, we will remove your personal guarantee." Meaning they believed in the future of the business. They believed in where we're going. They believed in the assets of the business. I couldn't sign fast enough. Okay. So there is banks do not want to take risk, but there's two different kinds of loans. There's secured and unsecured. That's traditional financing. The non-traditional or other areas where you can look for cash, you can have, and again, if you have equity in your home, you don't need to draw down your line of your equity in your house. You don't need to pull the money out, but you know it's there. If an emergency happened and you needed a $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 and you had equity in your business and your home, you could use that if you had to. If you got a big order and you needed some cash to get you through 3, 6, 9 months, home equity is an option. Kickstarter, any kind of crowdfunding, friends and family, credit cards. Everybody is so down on credit cards. Credit cards, they're not bad. Credit cards are good. Credit cards, when you don't understand how to manage credit, that's bad. But credit cards can be good. Credit cards can be helpful. Credit cards can give cash advance. And when they do, that interest on a credit card is what? It's very expensive. It's very expensive. So you want to source or look for alternative forms, like a home equity loan is very low. Again, everything's relative right now. Interest rates are ridiculous, but in relative terms, home equity loans are low. But credit cards aren't bad. Credit cards that are unpaid, that's bad. But if you're in a pinch and you really needed something, and the other thing that credit cards do is if you can buy some of your goods and services with credit cards, guess what? You don't typically have to pay those off for 30 days. So you're automatically getting terms with your credit card. And the other one, the cute little girl in the corner, is angel investors. Sometimes there's all sorts of there's private equity, there's venture funding, there's a whole bunch of different ways to get money to come into your business. But, angel funding, someone that has money, you've all seen Shark Tank. What is Shark Tank? Shark Tank's an angel investor. They don't sit there and do a detailed scrub and analysis of the business. They meet the entrepreneur, they find out, their business plan, some of the financials, say, yeah, okay, I'll take a flyer. Maybe have a rich friend. So ultimately, at the end, this is next steps. Before I jump into next steps, I just want to share with you some clients, and these are BNI members. They either are or they were BNI members that I've worked with, and there is power in learning these things. I'm not saying that each one of these companies, it was a cash flow related thing, but there's power in knowledge. And Dan he's running a really powerful general contracting company. He's killing it now, but we started working together. He didn't understand some of these fundamentals. He's really doing great. Steven is a IT services company. Again, had some of the really powerful fundamentals of business, but he was struggling up here. So, allowing him to break through some of his personal barriers. Mary Ellen Hall is a certified accountant, enrolled agent. Again, so passionate. She's probably the anomaly. She was very passionate about numbers. She enjoyed doing the number stuff, but she needed to learn the business stuff. Anne-Marie Hatfield has the most beautiful purple hair of anyone that I've ever met, running a really powerful business, helping families get their children into college. It's really intriguing when you can get to that point where it's kind of like, what's expensive, knowledge or experience? I always say that there's two ways to learn stuff in life. You can learn on your own, or you can learn through someone else. And when you earn on your own, it hurts more, it costs more, and it takes longer. So Anne-Marie just absolutely crushing it. Bill Murphy is in the mortgage industry, super powerful, unbelievable guy, just finished a book. Tony is in the financial services world. Again, a lot of the people, every single one of these entrepreneurs goes after typically a passion. In the passion, of what they love is not necessarily aligned with some of the skills that you need when you go to build a business. And so, there is beauty in all of these clients, but the fundamental piece is that when you're looking at how do I grow my business and what are the things that I need, it's not always just the skills of business. Sometimes it's the mindset. So that's why the Entrepreneur's Trilogy has those 3 components to it. And this is actually one of my favorite. You're not supposed to have favorite clients. How do I say this? Well, no, he's great. But when Josh and I started working together, he's in general contractor world, and he had a vision. He had 2 employees, and he said, "You know what, Mike? I love what I'm doing, but I don't ever want to wear a tool belt again." That was his goal. That was his vision at $250,000. And now he's got a team of 8 and he's doing about $2 million in sales. So the vision, if you have a strong enough vision and passion to get where you want to go, I'm challenging you to get the knowledge and get the insight from someone who's typically been there and done that. And if you would like to grab a quick call, thesavagesecrets.com/call Mike. We'll just, there's no, like I said, no charge, no selling, no BS, just help you get some understanding about your business. Now, here is that cash flow spreadsheet. I want to make sure I put this into the chat box. Actually, I'll put a bunch of things in here. But if you want this spreadsheet, if you want to, even if you're not good with numbers, the whole spreadsheet is really it's just you plug the numbers in. I think I might have even had some of the fields you can't even edit. So you can edit the fields, you can put your own information in. It became, my friend Josh, I was just talking about, he's in general contracting. And if you're understanding that world, kind of like if you get a, $150,000 basement remodel project, they don't give you $150,000 on day one. So that project could spread out over 4 months. So he would take that $150,000 project and he would allocate on a monthly basis. Well, maybe I get 30% down. So I put $50,000 in month 1, 25,000, 50,000, 25,000. So over a 4-month period, he ends up collecting the cash, but you can't anticipate that, okay, just because I got a $150,000 order, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm getting $150,000 right now. So the beauty, I say beauty because I like numbers, but to all of you, I'm sure numbers are not great. So before we get to Q&A, I need a favor. I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying to improve my BNI webinars. And I just wanted to ask if you can give me a grade. How did I do today? And put a little bit of details in there. Like if you thought it was good, great. A, wow, very helpful. Okay, not my jive. A D, did not resonate. And E, you stink savage. Now, before you put E, you stink savage, I just want you to know one thing that my mother always told me. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. No, I'm just teasing. I really am looking for just an honest opinion, the things that I can do better. How can I get better? What more value can I add as we go through this? So thank you very much to everybody that's given me that feedback. So Steve, I am all ears. If anyone wants to fire off some questions, anything that it comes to as it relates to cash flow or finances or anything in general.
Well, here's an interesting question. What do you tell people who say, why do I have to pay taxes when so many big companies don't?
That's an awesome question. It's above my pay grade as well. But deals get made. It's just the way that the world works. And, the government is going to get their money in some way, shape, or form. And these larger corporations can come in and say, if I bring all of these employees into your state, then guess what? There's going to be a whole bunch of payroll taxes that your state will collect. So I need a credit on my or discount on my income taxes. So it can get very, very complicated, but it's true, and we can fight it, and we can battle it. But there's a reality. It's sometimes it's not fair.
So we've got all right, a bunch of questions popping into Q&A right now. If we have credit card debt right now, what's the best way to pay it off as quickly as possible if cash flow is tight?
So, again, it's tough to answer without all the whole picture. But if you happen to own a home and there's any equity in your home, it would be better to be able to use the home equity to pay off your credit cards, because number one, home equity in your primary or secondary residence is deductible from an interest rate perspective, but credit card interest is not. Credit card debt is probably one of the worst debts that you can have. So whatever it may be, even if it's a little tiny bit each month, I would challenge you to take whatever you can to get that credit card debt eliminated. It is a painful sore. It is something that just sits there and it just continues to swallow your growth, your personal growth, your business growth. There's no easy answer, but I would explore different things like that. We want to get rid of credit card debt as quickly as humanly possible.
How do you pay off debt without sacrificing payroll?
You don't. It ultimately comes down to, where do you want your business to go? And all debt is not bad. Some people, oh, debt, I don't want debt. No. Debt can be good. Debt is necessary to grow a business most of the time. If you have a rich uncle that decides to drop $1 million in your pocket, great, congratulations. That's not the majority of us. But if you have debt and you have a plan to get rid of that debt, or that your carrying cost for that debt is part of your forecast. So if you own a home, you may have a mortgage. If you have a 30-year mortgage, you're carrying debt for 30 years, but you still get your home. So if you carry some debt in your business, that's not bad if it allows you to keep your business going. Again, that's why there's 3 financial statements. There is income statement, there is balance sheet, and there's statement of cash flows. From an income statement perspective, yes, you're paying interest. But if that interest, again, the key number as companies get larger is called EBITDA. You've got revenue, sales, and you've got EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And the reason they do that is they want to look at the real profit of your business. Now, interest is what they call below the line. Ultimately, you want to get rid of the debt on that. But if your business could not expand or grow without that debt, keep the debt. As long as you understand it, as long as you might have a game plan, how can I take this high interest debt and convert it into low interest debt? Or how can I eventually over time eliminate the debt? That's what we do with our homes and our cars sometimes. Like, we have long-term debt, but there's a plan. The plan is, okay, I know over a period of time, I'm going to be able to eliminate this. I hope that made sense.
Yeah. Joanna says, I only use credit cards that have 0 interest for a period of time on new activity. Never pay interest on CCs.
Congratulations. It's a beautiful thing. That's why I said credit cards can be a beautiful thing. Credit cards, in lack of understanding as to how they can completely eat away at you, that's not a good thing. So that's why financial competence, the whole event today is not designed to, I know a couple people put in the chat boxes that this was way over my head. Finance is not easy. When finance is not for everybody, but you can't shrug your shoulder and say, well, I can't figure it out. No, you have no choice. You may have other people that are within your business. They're either your bookkeeper, your accountant, your CPA, fractional CFO, whatever they may be. They do a lot of the heavy lifting, but you can't shrug the responsibility of understanding the basic fundamentals of finance. It's just essential to grow your business. You got to keep score.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of the answers are in everyone's chapter. Have one-to-ones with, your business coach and your banker and your bookkeeper and your CPA, and get that
100%,
information. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Jason's asking, how do you approach getting a line of credit from the bank if you're a beginning startup, say about 2 years in business?
Again, banks don't like risk. So, I think you can go and have those conversations with your bank. I remember early on with one of my early companies, I went in every 6 months and I just said, hey, can I have a loan? Or, hey, can I have a line of credit? It's like, gee, Mike, you're not really ready. And come back 6 months later, gee, Mike, you're not really ready. But when you are ready, like when you have those earnings numbers that they're looking for, then you're going to be first. You're going to like, damn, this guy is persistent. And banks are human beings too. You got to understand, they're not some kind of big building. The people that make the decisions on your loan or your line oftentimes are human beings. And this is why the relationship you can build with BNI is so powerful. You build that relationship and your banker can go up to bat for you. Hey, you know what? I've been in this group with John for 3 years and his general contracting business has been growing and growing and growing. And because the bankers don't get to make the decisions either. They have to go to the credit department and all the rest of the stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. But I would challenge you to be persistent, go create relationships, go say, and even ask your bank, what are the things that you need? Or what is the criteria that you would need from me to make me credit worthy? Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Bankers are human beings also. I used to be very scared and intimidated of bankers till I kicked their ass in golf. So then I didn't care anymore. But my challenge would be, or my advice would be, is to start creating those relationships. Ask the questions. Don't be afraid. Hey, I've been in business for 2 years. Here's my revenue growth. Here's my earnings growth. Do you think I'm credit worthy? They may be able to say, no, not right now. Come back next year.
Yeah.
But definitely go out and ask the questions.
All right, that is going to do it for our questions today. We're pretty much at the top of the hour anyway. So I think this is a good time to wrap up. Any final words, Mike?
I guess my primary thought would be, my closing thought would be that numbers aren't for everybody. And I get it. I happen to be a geek. I went to school for engineering. I just like numbers. They're not for everybody. But if you are an entrepreneur and you want to grow a business, you cannot shrug the responsibility of learning the basic fundamentals of finance. You need to be meeting with your bookkeeper once a month. You need to be looking at profit and loss statements once a month. I'm not saying you have to dig into a 12, 24-month cash flow spreadsheet, but you need to understand the basic fundamentals of where your business is going, because this is the same as goal setting. I've done webinars here about goal setting. You need to have a goal. If your goal is, I'm at $250,000, I want to go to $500,000. I'm at $500,000, I want to go to $2 million. Whatever your goal is, you need to have a plan to get there. So, that would be my recommendation is please look at the numbers as though they're not your enemy. They once you understand them and once you can play with them a little bit, you don't have to dig deep, but you got to understand the basic fundamentals when you're trying to build a company.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, that's probably why so many of them go out of business, right? If they don't understand it, you have to understand your business. You have to understand.
Entrepreneurs, the general genesis of an entrepreneur is they follow a passion. Like you say, hey, you know what? I got an idea. I want to quit my job. I want to do they got a passion, they got a vision, they got a belief. And most of the time they're in this world, unless you're an accountant or a CFO or a bookkeeper, where your passion is numbers, you're in the area of your passion. If you want to build an art studio, you may not know numbers. Yeah. It may not be your strong suit. So surround yourself with people. I always say, you got to play the game with people. You got to hang out with people that are playing the game better or differently than you are. Surround yourself with people that have more knowledge in these areas. My goal always is I want to be the dumbest person in the room. Wherever the environment, I want to be the dumbest person because I want to be able to learn from others. And so in closing, I guess, thank you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the initiative to go through this training. And I really, really hope that it can help you on your journey.
All right. Well, thanks again. As always, Mike, a good, energetic and informative presentation.
It's hard to be energetic about money sometimes.
Yeah, Steve. I know, right? Right. That's pretty good. Everybody give yourselves a CEU, and we'll have this video up on our YouTube channel certainly before 5 p.m. because I'm getting out of here early. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all next week.
Everyone, have a great weekend. Thank you very much.